General Spinsonetic, General Spry, I should say, Colonel Olson, retired general officers, retired hooligans, and those of you who still have the opportunity to wear that uniform. I envy every one of you. I tried to enlist, but they said, when we need you, we've already lost. So I guess I don't have much of a choice. Well, we stand here today at the end of an era. As you said, the end of an era. And at the beginning of a new life for the North Dakota Air National Guard. Now, at a time like this, it's kind of nice to look back to the start of the group that became known nationwide as the Happy Hooligans. It was February in North Dakota, a typical February with lots of cold and snow. The year was 1947, and the North Dakota Air National Guard was getting their first squadron aircraft, the World War II renowned P-51. They would be the newest fighter aircraft we'd ever get. Some of them were almost brand new. And they were the beginning, an advent of a series of fighter for the unit. And 6 of them were to follow. You can see them out here. The next being our first all-weather interceptor, the F-94. It was the first aircraft designed solely for the purpose of defense against a bomber threat. And with it, we were introduced to the radar observer, or RO, who became the second member of our air defense aircrew. His job was to pick the target, get a radar lock on it, and then the pilot would fire the rockets. And the F-94 was followed by a much larger, longer range, and heavily armed aircraft, the F-89. And the latest version of that aircraft became the unit's first nuclear-armed aircraft. From there, we moved into the supersonic area with a single-seat F-102 and went from rockets to guided missiles. We went back to the nuclear-armed 2-seat aircraft with the advent of the 101, and we upgraded our radar observer to a weapons system officer. He still had the job of finding that target, picking it out, and locking it on for us. With that aircraft, we won our first William Tell in 1970, besting the United States Air Force and the Canadians after having the aircraft for just 1 year and flying out of Sioux Falls because our runway was closed. We followed that by winning our second William Tell in 1972. We won it in the first week of competition. I know I was on the way down there hauling some VIPs down, and I got a call. We landed, and Wally Haig was on the phone. He said, "We won." I said, "What do you mean we won? We're just halfway through. We're just in the first week." He said, "We won." "Oh, come on. You've been drinking." Well, I know he'd been drinking, but not that much. No, he said they pushed all of our missions in the first week. I thought they thought that our airplanes wouldn't hold up. Well, they did. And at the end of the first week, the other units could have shot 100% and couldn't have caught us. So they were playing for second place. And our third win came in 1986 while flying the 2-place F-4, which we flew for 13 years. This was followed by the single-seat F-16. And that aircraft was in the skies over Fargo-Moorhead for over 16 years. And its service was highlighted by winning William Tell 1994, which we won in spite of flying the oldest fighters in a weapons meet and the oldest fighters in the Air Force inventory. The Lockheed Martin leadership named us as the best fighter squadron on planet Earth. You heard no doubts from us from that. We believed it. We had proven ourselves again. And then what happened? BRAC 2005. The Department of Defense recommendation from the North Dakota National Guard, and I quote from the report, this is their language, the reduction in F-16 force structure and the need to align common versions of the F-16 at the same bases argued for the realigning Hector to allow its aircraft to retire without a flying mission backfill. What? Close down the best fighter unit in the United States, maybe the world? 62 years of unequaled success, record after record set, achievements that set the unit apart from all others, be it regular Air Force, Guard, or Reserve. Going back, the first for this unit, there were many. Even more importantly, all of these firsts were followed by additional accomplishments. The unit never rested on its laurels. I'm going to drop this down for somebody. Whatever the goal was set and then reached, the men and women of the organization set loftier ones. And time again, these goals were achieved. First air-to-air rocket firing over Lake Superior. The Hughes Trophy, the first time ever won by a Guard unit. The same year, the Dedalian Maintenance Trophy. This was also the first ever for a Guard unit, and the first time these two major awards had ever been held by the same unit during the same year. This was followed by a second Hughes Trophy in 1994. We had the first deployed alert at Seymour Johnson. We were the first to go on nuclear alert, the first to reach 100% strength, the first deployment overseas for an active NATO air defense mission, the first air defense aerial refueling, and the list of awards and firsts goes on and on. The most accident-free flying hours of any unit in the entire Air Force flying fighters, and subsequently adding to those record hours with the Predator and the C-21. The winner of 15 Air Force Outstanding Unit Awards. No organization has won more. When we talk of the many awards and firsts, we do not always give credit to the men and women, at least enough credit, who provided our air crews with the best maintained aircraft in the force. In addition to the maintainers were those who got the parts, and they got them when we needed them and where we needed them, who provided the fuel, the munitions, the food. They saw that we got paid and had the necessary orders. They watched over our families when we were off on some deployment, and they were the heart of this organization. Without their efforts, nothing, and I repeat, nothing would have happened. All of this unit recognition is a result of the efforts of a unique group of people, the Happy Hooligans. They were people like Marsh Johnson, Dwayne Larson, Ray Scrampstead, Kenny Goodyear, Merv Bynum, Wally Johnson, Bob Olwyn, Don Fleslin, George Hill, Alan Ide, Wally Haig. The list goes on and on. All of those I mentioned are gone, but their places have been filled by individuals such as you standing here today. Without them and you, there would have been no awards, no recognition, and certainly not the unparalleled flying safety record this unit enjoys. Almost 20 years of accident-free flying. 20 years. Now that's flying continuously, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year for 20 years. Wow. Yeah, let's go back to BRAC 2005 as proposed by the Department of Defense. In that proposal, 23 Air National Guard units would have lost their currently assigned aircraft. However, the BRAC Commission noted that Hector was the only Air National Guard unit to have specific language that there would be no flying mission backfill. And the Commission struck that language out. Perhaps they realized the folly of that proposal. The C-21 was a result of the Commission's action. It was to serve as a bridge unit until we would receive the newly procured C-27J. We had lost our fighter mission, but we would still be flying airplanes. Subsequently, the Air Force, in their infinite wisdom, and after fighting the U.S. Army for that aircraft and mission for 2 years, retired the entire fleet of brand new airplanes. The hooligans were left out of the cold. This would serve as the end of a manned flying unit based at Hector Airport. When the last fighter left Fargo, there was a feeling around some that we had reached the end of our history as the best of the best. But we set new standards in performance, not only in a completely different type of aircraft, but in a completely new mission. It mattered not. After all, we were happy hooligans. We continued the tradition by setting new standards in the unmanned aircraft world with the Predator, with our security police unit at Minot guarding nuclear missiles. And we will do the same with the newly assigned targeting mission. We gained recognition as the best small aircraft unit in the U.S. Transportation Command while flying our C-21s. Now that aircraft has reached its last day in the North Dakota Air National Guard. It is only fitting that the aircraft leaving here today, is the oldest C-21 the Air Force had ever procured. And you ask, why is it fitting? Because the history of this unit is full of taking the oldest, worst maintained, most broken down aircraft in the force and turning them into first-rate weapon systems, which were able to show up the best the system could throw at them. Not many realized the Happy Hooligan maintenance personnel were the first blue shooters to maintain the C-21. Until we got the aircraft, it was maintained by contract maintenance at a higher cost per flying hour. So we reduced the overhaul cost of flying the C-21, and they were taken from us. Others would now fly them, regardless of the increased cost of operation. So what does the future hold? What will be our next mission after the Predator and targeting mission? No one knows. Could it ever be a flying mission? Maybe the KC-46? Maybe the C-27J or C-130? Or maybe even an FX? Perhaps, hopefully, sometime, somewhere, someone will come to their senses at some point and return to manned flying mission to Fargo. Why? Because we can do it much cheaper and, more importantly, do it as good, if not better. Now, if the Air Force doesn't believe that, why don't they just give us a chance to prove them wrong? But whatever the future holds, the hooligans will be at the top. We will not give up the tradition that was established over the past 66 years. We will not bow down to those who say we can't handle a change. We can, and we will do it better than any other unit that wears this blue uniform. We have in our unit the grandchildren of some of our early members, the sons and daughters number in the hundreds. The sayings in Fargo-Moorhead area is that you were, are, or will be a happy hooligan. What an organization and what a tradition. What an asset to our state and nation. I am confident that you and the other members of this distinguished organization are destined to bring more accolades and honors to the hooligans than ever before. For you all understand, whatever the challenge, whatever the mission, whatever the aircraft, it matters not. What does matter is your energy, enthusiasm, and dedication. The torch has been passed on from year to year, decade to decade. It is now passed to you, the members of this unit who are with me here today. Hold it high and hold it proudly. I salute you.